Into the Nexus is a production of amove.tv. Bookmark Amove TV for other great video games and esports podcasts. Into the Nexus is sponsored by listeners like you via patreon.com/ITN. Welcome back, everybody, to Into the Nexus, and oh, what an episode we have for you today. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, and I'm sitting here with Kyle Ferguson. Kyle, how is the Nexus treating you this week?
It's treating me really well, actually. I went on a mad winning streak this past week.
Oh.
And this particular meta plays to my strengths because we have a first-pick warrior. Yeah!
Oh, what?
Very interesting.
So you're just massing Zarya games, is what I'm hearing?
I have been, and Leoric, actually.
Oh.
And Leoric is amazing right now.
Getting yo Skeleton King on.
Well, if you think about it, we got two big point control maps going on right now. Both Braxis, you got Dragonshire still, and you have Warhead Junction, all of which people want to force towards you. You land a Drain Hope, they need to make the difficult choice. Do I give up the point and have to run away to break this, or do I stand and sustain the enemy tank through it all? Plus, you got a lot of Chens running around right now. They're still figuring things out. And Leoric just kind of chews on the Chens, so I've been having an awesome time. I've been picking Lost Vikings almost every single Warhead Junction.
Ooh. That just sounds dirty.
It's hard work, man. You know in Starcraft, when you get in the base and you have your little workers and you get like a good, well, nowadays anyway, with Legacy of the Void, you get like 30 seconds to kind of warm up into it before you have too many building structures.
Right. Lost
Vikings is tough. You just got to go right out of the gate running, be able to control those guys.
Well, it's good to hear, man. You and I have got a chance to log a few more games in our duo queue accounts. I mean, you on your Smurf, me on my main account. They went pretty well this week. I'd say it's okay.
They did.
I think we landed on yet another kind of. We decided to take a bit of a break, at least a step back. Not many, maybe one step back from our continuing double picks of me going on Ariel, you going on Lunara. Because we decided that, hey, it works out pretty well when we both just take Assassins we're good with, and they don't necessarily have to synergize.
Those are very nice. I've been playing a lot of Rainer down there, and I think it's just because people don't see a lot of good Rainers. I get to dance a little bit, get out of position, use my heal that people don't expect, get to do a lot of little cutesy things.
Yeah, it's there was a time, Kyle, where I took Give Me More as a crutch. Now it's just straight up a strategy. It's so I can just stand there and you'll go, you're going to die. And you're just like, wait, no, he should have died. I'm dead.
That's what you got to do. I mean, that's the best way to play, in my opinion. It's going to always hit that wall as you get higher up, but taking advantage of enemy mistakes is how you're going to carry. And right now, one of the big things I'm doing on Zarya that's really succeeding is Pain is Temporary, the level 13 talent where you trade all your energy in for a shield. And it has that weird graphic effect where the same thing happens with Johanna. She should have died, but she has the indestructible.
Right.
She gets a shield equal to her health, but it only shows as like a half-health shield for some reason. And so everyone goes, oh, she's still half health. Get her! And never stops attacking Zarya through this giant shield that's equal to her whole health bar when I pop it.
Yeah, attacking tanks with shields is the lament of Gold League. That was happening a lot in the one game we squeezed in right before the show today against the Artanis on the enemy team.
Yeah, he was soaking a lot of damage, and in fact, in that game, we changed up our strategy and just killed Anubarak first.
Yeah.
And then dealt with the Artanis. Now they had no CC on his team. But while things have been good for me this week, while the meta is definitely in my favor, if I don't get a first pick tank, I can get the first pick support. That's kind of my jam. And I'm getting decent in mouth. But it's interesting to see in this flux period how paranoid the community has become to certain picks, maybe, to certain heroes. But the level of superstition has greatly increased while everyone doesn't know quite what's going on. And we have all these different voices, all these different community managers yelling at us, not managers, but people in the community, telling us how to play, what's the tier list, what you should be listening to. and it can get pretty bad out there right now.
Are you talking about people in chat telling you, no, this is the way the game is played?
Oh, yes, indeed.
I love that you're leading with this. We had like this exact same conversation on Overwatchers this week about Overwatch. That people like watch the Overwatch Open, they absorbed all this information, and they get into their Overwatch games. And they go, no, this isn't the comp that works. This is what Misfits used, and this is what we're gonna do. And it's just like, we're not all on comms, and we haven't practiced together 8 hours a day for 4 months straight. Okay, this isn't gonna happen.
And as we move out of this, maybe it's Malfurion right now, Zarya certainly. We just got a lot of big questions. And if you think about our map pool right now, in fact, the map I'm losing the most on, which is bizarre, it was 89% win rate last season, Battlefield of Eternity. But that's gone down because everyone is getting Warhead Junction, Braxis, and Towers of Doom over and over and over again. Even Dragonshire every once in a while. And that leaves Battlefield Eternity as this weird outlier where everyone's like, do we team fight? What did we used to do here in the days of yore?
And the answer is no. You attack the Immortal, damn it.
Draft for the Immortal? Oh, my God. Dude, there was a game I lost this week on Battlefield of Eternity because my team clearly hadn't played enough WoW, and they chased Malfurion in circles for the entire duration of the enemy team's death. No one but Malfurion was alive, and they chased him for 45 seconds. It was like being in an arena.
You're absolutely right. That's every. I don't really arena anymore, but but just about every arena experience I had back when I did. It's just like the druid's just going to. You know what? Let's just leave, guys. I want to go do a battleground.
You should play a little battleground, man. I mean, I am a disciplined priest, and it's going pretty well for me.
Oh, well, I mean, if you're offering to be my pocket healer, sign me up. But there was a lot of Heroes of the Storm news this week, so we should probably dive into this week's news.
Boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
The moment is upon us.
Yes, I'd mana tap that.
I always forget about that. That's the Kalthos line in that particular news bumper. So, hey, Kyle, have you heard of Heroes Brawl?
I have. A year ago, in fact.
No, you didn't. You heard about Heroes Arena.
Oh, of course. How could I confuse the two?
Yeah, how could you? Yes, in true Heroes of the Storm fashion, a game that itself was renamed 3 times. It has had 3 different names. Originally Blizzard Dota, then Blizzard All-Stars, and now Heroes of the Storm. Arena, which was, as you may remember, announced at BlizzCon last year, of which we have heard nothing about since. Well, now we've heard much about it. It has been renamed to Heroes Brawl, and we're going to be able to play it on the PTR next week.
Yeah, on the 10th, and then it comes out the 17th.
Yeah. I believe we both said that we didn't expect to hear anything about this until BlizzCon, right?
Not at all.
Okay,
and
so we're both
make me curious.
We're both incredibly wrong. I just wanted to get that out there.
Oh, dude, we've been incredibly wrong. Luckily, our expectations of the previous team that made Starcraft is not the same team anymore that makes Heroes. They have been moving way faster than we ever gave them credit for.
Yeah.
And the season rules, everything else, now the arena, now Brawl. It makes me wonder, are we making room for something else at BlizzCon? Or it doesn't really look that good if we go, announcing for the second year in a row, a name change.
Well, I mean, honestly, that was the history of Heroes of the Storm, right? Because
Yeah,
one year they
that's true.
announced Blizzard Dota. The next year you came back and they're like, it's no longer called Blizzard Dota. It's called Blizzard All-Stars. And it's going to be a standalone game instead of a custom map in StarCraft 2. Which, if you remember, that's what this game was originally slated to be. It was just going to be like a map in the StarCraft 2 arcade, basically.
And it had its purpose. It was meant to be fun, but its main goal originally was just to show off how much you could do in the StarCraft engine as a custom creator.
Exactly. And obviously they went beyond what we at home could even do because they had all kinds of custom assets. Honestly, I'm sad a lot of those assets didn't make it in because it used to be the original Blizzard Dota board looked like a chess board.
Yeah, space chess.
Yeah, which I thought personally was really cool, and I loved the original trailer for Blizzard Dota with the really cheesy hamming it up voice actor, just kind of making fun of MOBAs in general. I don't know. I really like the whole tongue-in-cheek aspect of it. I love what they're doing now with Uther. That's fine. You get in, Uther schools you and kind of tells you not to think too hard about things. That's great too. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is it wouldn't have surprised me because this is the kind of the history of Heroes in the past at BlizzCon. But super surprised, very happy to hear this. It's going to be on PTR next week, and it is supposed to go into the live game the week following. It's targeting the week of October 17th, and honestly, they've been nailing their release times lately, so I trust them on this one, Kyle. I think it's going to come out on time.
And it's expanded quite a bit since we originally saw it. It is now a lot more like the co-op campaigns from Starcraft. In many ways, there's going to be the unique maps that you only battle. These are going to be more ARAM-y. But then there's going to be the mutators, these elements of gameplay that they didn't just stick on a map. And of course, one of the ones they showed off the most was Towers of Doom, where everyone's hammer and everyone has hover siege from the start.
Yeah, it's called Hammer Time, is the name of this arena. And yeah, everyone gets hover tanks. All players on both teams are hammer. And thrusters are permanently engaged.
Sounds pretty fun.
Yeah.
And of course, for me, this isn't going to be my area of choice. I like the serious game. I want to play the MOBA and rank up and all that sort of stuff. But I am excited for the return visits that this could elicit and getting other people into this game outside of just saying, Gul'dan, I love Gul'dan. Let me try Gul'dan. I don't play MOBAs.
Yeah, and once it's in, it's just another thing. It's another button. It's another play room for us in Heroes that they can just keep adding on to. I mean, they haven't said concrete, we're just going to keep adding stuff to it, but I'm assuming they will. It makes sense. Once this is in, I'm sure new arenas will be added. But yeah, I'm excited. It's funny because Master DS called into the call-in episode. This is episode 131, and if you're wondering, whoa, what was 130? It was actually the call-in episode that is on the feed if you're subscribed to the podcast. And he this is exactly what he wanted to talk about, which was how do you think he basically asked us how we think they're going to expand upon Brawl or Arena at the time. We didn't know it was being renamed. And we talked about that. We would like to see some PvE stuff, and that's definitely not what we're getting, but we're getting more than we were originally promised. And that's a net positive. That is a win in my book.
And it's going to have rewards, and they're going to be weekly, but they said it's up to 1,000 gold.
Yeah. An extra 1,000 gold a week, that's great. That's fine. It's building out this kind of this robust place, all of these different features for Heroes. It's making this one step closer to being one of those games that you can kind of just always be playing depending on what your mood is, which I think has always been kind of a challenge for Heroes of the Storm, right? Because it is just so it's all PvP, and it sounds like Brawl is still going to be all PvP, but it's going to be significantly wackier, more fun, and a little more unchained.
And one of the biggest barriers to a game like this is getting to know all the heroes, and that's what I love about Brawl. Even if it just gives you a taste, even if you get Hover Siege and you get infinite thrusters, that's still enough to teach a player this is a thing that happens at some level, and thrusters can be used in an offensive way. You should be prepared. We like to do a bunch of almost quaint strategies around here to help people out, but honestly, when you get right down to it, Bronze Silvers, many of these guys just don't know what every hero does when they're running down the lane at them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But you're sounding surprisingly positive about that fact, Kyle, because you, of all people, I think, are a little more critical of Sergeant Hammer players out there than I think anyone else, because you're the first person I know to go, we got another one of these level 16 hammers who don't know what to do till they get Hover Siege mode, and I think this is going to breed a whole new generation of level 16 Sergeant Hammers.
That's true, but I wouldn't say that's, like a troll moment or any sort of anger. It's just merely an observation. Some tracers are bad, and then they get 20 and they become good. And that's important for everyone on the team to realize and know that we're going for the long game here. Yeah. Same with that hammer.
Yeah, and it used to be true of Kael'thas at 16. That's when he, it's like, oh, now the KT is good. But, I mean, it's not the case anymore. But, yeah, just I couldn't help but laugh. I apologize. Just because, I know you, Kyle, so.
I think my favorite one here is the Punisher Arena. I don't exactly know how it works, but from the tidbit videos we saw, it looked like the two Punishers were warring it out one against the other. And many people have been calling for a relaunch of Heroes of the Storm. And I think that Brawl little trailer there, one, it actually looked like a commercial that would run on TV. with the nice little voiceover, the Star Wars guy, right? From Clone Wars. I love that guy. But that looks so nice. I wonder if it's part of a bigger movie we're going to see.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm sure there will be some things announced at BlizzCon. Now that this is out, part of me is like, oh, maybe it'll be a quieter year for Heroes of the Storm. I don't think as quiet as, say, Diablo last year, because Heroes is just too frequently iterated upon, I think, to even come close to how little there was to say about Diablo last year. But yeah, I don't know. At this point, I don't have a prediction for you for BlizzCon, other than I'm sure we'll hear about a new Battleground or two, and I'm sure we'll hear about a few new heroes. But I don't know. There's just there's something in the air, Kyle. I think there's something hiding. There's something they're not telling us, and it's exciting.
Yeah, well, certainly. We're going to get our 3 heroes. There's going to be one really weird one, of course, because this is their chance to announce the game once again to the public, get lots of media coverage on it, and show off how Heroes of the Storm is so very different from any other MOBA out there. I believe it's going to be Rock and Roll Racing because they're very susceptible to suggestion at BlizzCon. There's that medium of the internet where they've got a bunch of, there's community managers that run it and feed that information to the devs. But when you're actually on the floor and you get to talk one-on-one with them, you can get inside their head a little bit. And that's when we got Lost Vikings. And, well, Cho'Gall was a complete surprise.
Oh God, yes, absolutely. I don't think anyone predicted. I'm sure somebody on some bizarre, obscure corner of the internet was probably like, "Oh, they should have a 2-headed ogre where 2 people control it." But I'm just covering my butt at this point. I don't think anyone called that. I was exceptionally surprised.
And this is such a great way for people who don't like MOBAs and maybe want something more along the lines of the Diablo PvP that never really blossomed into anything, to just get in and have a good time and then learn the characters and then move on to the main game. And they have the goal then, after several weeks, to buy a hero they actually want rather than grinding out games they don't understand in quick match on a character they don't care about. And I think this shows a huge commitment to the casual players, because we see a lot of money and a lot of effort put into eSports. In some ways, maybe too much. And it distracts from what the gameplay can be for you at home in many ways.
Yeah, I don't. But I'm as far as Heroes is concerned, I think it's surprisingly well balanced. I find myself more and more often now kind of pointing back to the Heroes team when I'm either on Overwatches or the Angry Chicken, talking about Overwatch or Hearthstone, because I just think they're doing a damn good job. I mean, there's always room for improvement, and we can talk till we're blue in the face about all the things we would like improved about the game. But when I take a step back and I look at everything they've done this year, it's impressive.
That is true. We got 20 heroes since release. We're up to this. Well, we're about to talk about our 57th, I believe.
Yes, we are. Fantastic segue, Kyle. Thank you for teeing me up. So, as we talked about last week, a new hero was revealed this morning by Samwise Didier drawing it. And he drew Blademaster Samuro?
Yeah.
Samuro. I'm going to butcher the crap out of this, just a warning ahead of time, everyone.
Samuro, but you could just do Blademaster, man. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to call him Blademaster.
Sounds good.
Yeah, he was revealed early this morning. And since then, we've gotten a fantastic trailer where we get to watch Blademaster face off against Chen in basically a really fun-to-watch Japanese sword fight. Except it's a
and
sword.
They're friends.
Yeah, sword versus a bamboo stick, but still, technicalities. And his hero page is also up on the hero's website, so we can go see what his abilities are. So let's talk about it. First off, he will have no mana, and he's basically kind of kept in check by cooldowns. One of his basic abilities is called Mirror Image, where he creates 2 mirror images that deal 30% of his damage and have 50% of his current health. They last up to 18 seconds, and only 2 can be active at any one time.
First of all, I'm excited that he is manaless. All the manaless heroes have, for the most part, been more fun than mana heroes, because they get to just keep going. And you get to feel active, and you don't have to make those choices of, do I go back? I'm not going to die. I can stick around and be useless.
Yeah. This was great. Just for the trailer, this is the kind of like this was the gimmick in the trailer, right? Chen splits into his 3 copies, and Blademaster does the same. But I watched the trailer first, and then I went and looked at his kit, and I was just like, wait, this is a basic ability?
These are the abilities from Warcraft 3. It's just picked up in place. It's a great translation. And one of my favorite things they've done here is they removed the RNG, and they said they were going to do their best to avoid any sort of critical strike, anything in this game that has a chance to do bonus damage. They want to do focus attacks where you get out enough attacks and the next one becomes empowered on a hero like you have on Raynor and other characters that haven't been quite reworked yet. But critical strike here is your next basic attack within 10 seconds causes a critical strike dealing 50% increased damage. So it's just a button you press.
Yeah. And I don't know, normally I feel like I'd be a little bored with something like this, but like you said, it is just this direct translation from Warcraft, and
it's tweaked to be a little more balanced, controllable in this environment. And of course, there's talents that work all between, and you can make this button a lot more interesting.
Right. Windwalk, and he gets to enter stealth for up to 8 seconds, or until the Blademaster attacks, use an ability, or take damage. While stealth, his movement speed is increased by 25%, and he can pass through other units.
I think the part about this that really shocks me the most is damage taken within the first second will not break the Windwalk. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's this extremely lethal Tassadar.
It just simply allows you to do things that you couldn't do otherwise. Have confidence going into a situation and know you'll get out. I mean, Greymane has his eyes in the dark. That does not stop the damage. I mean, Samuro here is still going to take the damage, but Greymane gets knocked out of the stealth if there's some sort of area effect, some sort of sparkle that flies off of ETC for half a second. This guy can straight up just walk away when he gets too low. And at level 1, you have a talent, a quest talent, Way of the Wind, where you can eventually, by hitting heroes, work it up to, at least what I'm reading, 50% movement speed.
What? Jeez.
You have to hit 20 heroes. Guess what? You can go stealth, so hitting a hero won't be that hard. It's going to be like the Arthas talent. You will complete this thing pretty fast, and then up to 50%, and it increases that broken damage time where you can go full stealth up to 2.5. So you can run all over. Area effects are landing on you. You'll be able to get out. And if you can just imagine the ganks, the rotations that you'll be able to pull off as you run at 50% speed from the top to the middle lane and back and forth and back and forth.
Jeez, that's just ridiculous. What other talents did you want to talk about?
These summon illusion characters are always very scary, and there's a number of them sprinkled throughout many MOBAs. I, of course, think of Phantom Lancer from Dota. His basic attacks had a chance to spawn an illusion, and it got a little out of control. He became almost a split pusher, able to just keep on building this army of himself and push down a lane. There are quite a few restrictions that stop Blademaster from being able to do this. He can only have 2 illusions at a time. You're never going to build your own personal army. And that's very sane to me. Right. But there are all sorts of really cute talents that you could do to enhance his abilities and give you that feel and almost this escapability. Like at level 13, yet another Windwalk talent creates an image when you leave doing what you were previously doing before you Windwalked away. So if you're auto-attacking, moving in a straight line, he's going to keep moving that line. It's going to be a tricksy little Nova decoy.
But what if you're doing nothing when you start Windwalking, though? Does it just stand there? That particular line confuses me. I hope it just starts attacking something.
It usually moves in the direction that you were previously moving or continues to attack the same target you were previously attacking.
Okay, fantastic.
So if you use it with no enemies around and you're running forward, it'll run forward for a duration. You know, one of those computer walks that they do. It's not the full screen. They just do the short little walk and kind of stop and find something in that area. But by then, the job's done. The trick is made and you're out of there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Just the way that was written, I was just like, what if I'm doing nothing? Does it just kind of stand there, sniffing the air?
It's going to be tricky. You maybe don't even need this talent, but the fact that it exists is really cool. and says how much sort of, well, bamboozledness that you can get up to here on this guy. There's a lot of, I mean, Grubby himself was saying, I'm already a main because I've been playing this guy in Warcraft 3 for years.
Yeah, it's just he's going to be a mind bender. I mean, think of the worst, the most annoying Nova that just is dead on with confusing you with her copies.
Some of them are really good. They pretend to be those illusions well.
Yeah, exactly. I just can't wait to see what people are going to be able to pull off with him. Should we talk about his heroics?
Let's do that because these are real cool. It's a trade-off.
Yeah. Okay. So first option is Bladestorm. You become unstoppable while whirlwinding. You deal 285 damage per second to nearby enemies for a 4-second duration.
Yep. Keep on spinning.
There's his ability to just get out of just about anything seems a little off the chain.
Here's your chance to mess up. You whirlwind, you're unstoppable, but you go too deep, you explode. You're not sustaining yourself in any way. You know, you're not Illidaning, you're not Sonya-ing.
Yeah, that's a
good
good
point. You're just spinning for damage.
That is a very good point.
As this ends after 4 seconds, then you would probably Windwalk out. You know, we don't know the cooldowns of these things right now, so maybe that will be a very interesting choice. I mean, if Windwalk is up to 30 seconds, that can really make things interesting. Otherwise, I agree with you 100%. Spin, spin, spin. All right, guys, I'm done. I'm out.
I'm out. I'm going to Windwalk. Oh, and by the way, you can't body block me. I just keep coming back to the trailer. Pairing him up against Chen is such a wonderful example. It seems like the natural rival because of the splitting and the fact that he can move through heroes. Who else do you want to... I mean, what other hero has ever made you scream, why can't I just go through you? More often than Chen, Kyle. Maybe Diablo.
Yeah, I think Chen with that readjustment. I mean, Diablo... Well, you're talking to a guy who loves Diablo, so of course I'm going to say it's an art, you know?
Yeah. Anyways, there is one more heroic to discuss, which is Illusion Master, where you switch places with the target mirror image. So you make a mirror image and you get to swap places with it. Also, a passive perk of Illusion is you can control mirror image separately or as a group, and they deal an additional 15% of your damage. You get to go like mini Lost Vikings.
Sort of, yeah. You got an 18-second duration on your Illusion, so you fire it up in a lane, you push those two guys down it, and then you Windwalk out using your increased movement speed to get into the team fight. You join it. Things go hairy. Windwalk is not on cooldown because you used it to engage, and you teleport out after 15 seconds to one of those pushing illusions.
Yeah, this is the thing that makes me the most excited about Blademaster because I don't want to play Lost Vikings. The thought of controlling 3 separate heroes for an entire game, it just makes my head spin. But the fact that I have that freedom with a hero like Blademaster, and I can kind of turn it off and on. I'm not having to do it for the whole game. I'm having to do it for kind of short bursts. That's exciting to me.
And it's going to get rather crazy. If you take a look at the level 20 augmentation of the Illusion Master, this is 3-blade style. Your images gain more health, 50% more health, but last 32 seconds.
That's a long time, Kyle.
That's a lot of split pushing.
So, all right. Real talk time. We both sound very excited about this hero. Should we be cautiously optimistic? Because I feel like we've been cautiously optimistic for the last great many of heroes, and rightfully so, with the exception of Zarya, because she got a fix, and now she's kind of amazing.
Yeah, the Zarya situation's rather funny. I do feel a little hypocritical going for that first draft right now after dissing her quite a bit 2 episodes. But she simply didn't have a place because she didn't do enough damage.
Right. She's a completely different hero now.
Which speaks to the design of the characters, that those sort of augmentations can come in without items, without major talent changes, and just changing a couple numbers around completely changes here. We saw that with Zeratul and his problems in the past. I do think Blademaster here is going to release strong, but he might not, because he might simply just be undertuned. Either way, this kit is real good.
Yeah. Before we leave, some folks in the chat room are asking, what is Blademaster's background? I honestly don't remember. Where did he show up in Warcraft 3?
He's from the Burning Blade, and you basically kick his butt randomly early on in the human campaign, if I remember correctly. He didn't really have a place. But each of the races, when you were playing the versus game of Warcraft 3, had 3 heroes originally to pick from. And Blademaster was one of the options for the Orc race. You had a Thrall knockoff. It was basically Thrall. He just had different names, so it wasn't formally him. And then you had a Blademaster. And then the final one was... I'm completely blank. Oh, no, it was the Tauren Chieftain with Resurrect.
Okay. All right. Oh, my goodness. I didn't even realize this now that I'm looking at a wiki page. The lead singer of Elite Tauren Chieftain, as they appear in World of Warcraft, is named Samuro.
Oh, nice. Well, the character was originally voiced by Samwise.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So there's all these connections. So, oh man, if I had known all of that, it seems like it's a no-brainer that you have Samwise reveal this hero.
Exactly. Tasting my blade.
Yeah.
And all those fantastic lines we remember so well as they ganked my peons in the back. I guess they were acolytes because I played undead, but
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. We come into contact with the Burning Blade clan in Warlords of Draenor if you've played World of Warcraft as well. As a matter of fact, you help a Blade Master there.
Yeah, he hasn't really made many of appearances, but he's just such a staple of the old eSports, really. What that existed for Warcraft 3.
Yeah. Yeah, it is basically a Blade Master in League of Legends as well as Dota.
Yeah, that's the guy who spins the Juggernaut over there for Dota. It's not a very creative archetype at all. No. And he is going to spin as well, which, maybe some of us are a little disappointed about. We got Sonya spinning, now we have Blademaster spinning. It does look very unique. It's a lot more elegant, actually. If you remember the way that it used to work in Warcraft 3, it looks exactly like Sonya's Whirlwind. But right now, they're actually giving him a lot more flavor into the skill domain, rather than this more berserker domain he kind of had in Warcraft 3.
Right.
This trailer they did for him is definitely the new Samuro that we're going to have in the future.
Right. He's just this wandering swordsman,
of great skill, not
elegant.
madness.
Yes, exactly. It's all about his finesse with the blade, not about his just brute strength and taking damage, making him angrier or anything of that nature.
There is also one more level 20 talent that's just fantastic. Dance of Death. This will be your augmentation for Bladestorm. Your illusions do Bladestorm with you.
Screw it. I refuse to be cautious. I am just straight up optimistic. I am excited for this hero, Kyle. Extremely so.
I am too, but he's going to have all the problems he should. There is not really any self-sustain anywhere in this build. There are ways to increase your damage, ways to be more tricky, but you will not be able to thrall it up.
Well, if could you imagine a hero with this many potential escape mechanics having self-sustain on top of that?
Oh, it'd be awful. And it's one of the reasons why I love Heroes of the Storm over other MOBAs, because in other MOBAs, they could build this character, and then I go buy a Mask of Death. I go buy something that gives me lifesteal on my attacks and ruin his balance completely.
Yep. Sorry, not every hero can go to the same Walmart and buy whatever the heck they want in this game.
It's nice.
Yeah. Well, so this is one of the heroes that you've been saying is just required. It's just a matter of time. It has to be added to the game. I know the other one that you've been harping on forever is a Dreadlord. What's next for you, Kyle? What's the next, now that Blademaster, we know Blademaster is coming, what's the next hero that you feel just has to be in? What's missing that exists in the other MOBAs out there?
I don't get confused enough when I'm saying Kael'thas, so clearly we need Kael'thazad.
Oh, you're right. Oh, Lich. Oh, I love Lich in Dota too!
And I want more evil. I mean, it's funny to say I want more evil spellcasters. Li Ming is practically insane. You got Gul'dan, who's 100% evil, but an orc and kind of a big buff guy. I can't really relate to it. And Kael'thas, he's pretty nuts. But I just want, not like the nuts for yourself. Sherdo, whatever it is, you do. Kael'thazad is just evil because it feels good.
He's a Lich. It's what he was made to do.
Right. Everything went according to plan. I died. No big deal.
I'm back. I've got my cat.
And he never got personal about it. It was all about helping out Arthas. I like the Lich King. I'm looking forward to my to my Scourge team as it fills out. But pretty cool that we can now have a mostly orc team. I guess you've got a tank and Rexar right now, and he's like a 4th ogre? Or is it half ogre?
Ogre? Who is this?
Rexar.
Oh, Rexar. Yeah, I forget what his whole thing is. Yeah, I think he's part ogre. Forget Rexar's whole story. He doesn't show up enough.
Well, we're getting close to having a full orc team, and that's pretty cool. And so let's fill out some other teams as well.
I'm surprised we don't have Garona yet.
Really? I don't see her as a big part of the lore, but I did not really get into Warcraft 2 or 1.
She's a pretty big part
before
of the
my
lore.
time.
Yeah, and she plays a big role in Warlords of Draenor as well. And the movie which came out, and it feels like we got Medivh, we got Gul'dan, like around the time that the movie came out. I'm surprised Garona wasn't in the lineup.
I don't know after watching that movie if I could tell you what her QWE would be.
It would
stab a guy regretfully? Like, there wasn't a lot of action that happened.
It would be receive a very lame-looking dagger from the Queen.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that dagger did not look like it came from Warcraft. Kind of disappointed me. Anyways, getting off topic. Yeah, Garona for me, I think, is the one I'm surprised the most about. I would love to see Kel'Thuzad. Still want that Dreadlord though, man. I'm in your camp. I'm waving your flag. Let's get a Dreadlord in here.
This guy's looking pretty tricksy though, so I'd be really excited to see what sort of things you could do with the Dreadlord. Because if they got one thing going for them, they love to dress up and pretend to be other people, and then at the best moment ever, usually 50% health, they jump out and say, "Ha ha! That guy is dead. He's been dead for 4 years."
Who are you talking to? Fantastic. Well, before we move in and we crack open our mailbag, because while there was some big news this week, it wasn't deep. We get to talk about a hero. We get to talk about a new mode that we already kind of knew about. Let's thank our patrons who are supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. If you like the show, if you want to support us, that is the best way to do so. And currently, we have over 300 of you supporting us over there, and we really appreciate it. This episode, we wanted to thank the following patrons: huge, giant, massive, epic Blademaster thanks to Daniel C., Christian M., Shrikant V., Sam S., Peter J. W., Dominic A., Marsh R., and Dylan L.K. Thank you all so much for your support of the show. We really do appreciate it. Kyle, I can't wait till BlizzCon so we can just, high five some patrons.
That's going to be awesome.
Or
every year BlizzCon's gotten more awesome, but I'm really excited for this year.
It'll be a good time. Or maybe a sanitary fist bump. I know everyone's kind of like, no handshakes, no high fives anymore. It's all about the fist bump. Because Concrud is real.
Oh, no, the fist bump's going to mess me up because I've been trained now to do the back of the hand kind of eye scratches.
Well, are you fist bumping with your wrist?
Well, I guess that's okay.
Then you're fine.
Yeah.
You're good.
Depends how complex it gets. Sometimes a guy throws his hands up and you have no idea what you're about to get into.
Well, you just come over to me and say, "Hey, Grandma Garrett," which is what we dubbed me at DreamHack because I always have my little hand sanitizer with me. So I've got your back, buddy. Now, I've also got your emails. Let's read some.
Darkness stopped calling.
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
Okay, tell him I'm not here.
You can send your emails into the show by typing in itncast@gmail.com in the to line. I may have helped my mom set up a Gmail account today, and I'm getting very specific about how to work on email. Our first email today comes to us from Joshua. And Joshua says, "Can you briefly discuss Samuro's shoes, the 3D model, on ITN tonight? I would love to hear your thoughts. Is it easier to windwalk in those things?" Those are traditional Japanese shoes called geta, which, according to the wiki that I looked up 5 seconds before starting the show, I guess actually originated in China, made their way over to Japan, and there you go. He's got a very, they went full bore with, the Japanese, samurai style.
And he's always had these.
Yes.
They were rather boxy in the past, of course.
Well, yeah, you couldn't really make it out even in Warcraft 3. But, Yeah, no, this is all over the place. Like, oh, why can't I think of the character from Princess
Samurai
Mononoke?
Champloo?
Oh, no, I was thinking Princess Mononoke. The short little fat dude with the red nose was wearing these.
Oh, yeah, well, he booked it. He was voiced by, well, at least in the American version, it was...
Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm unapologetic. I watch dubs all day long. It's too pretty. I don't want to read.
Fair enough.
Anyway, yeah, no, these pop up all the time in anime. So,
and apparently they kick butt. Whenever a character's wearing one of these, they're booking it on rooftops. They're doing like front flips, like the Samurai Champloo guy. But the practical use of them, honestly, is just because it rains a lot.
Yeah.
And if you can imagine a medieval era town, them streets are dirty, and your shoes are going to sink into it. So depending on the size and the weather, these things could get rather outrageously high.
Yeah, I live in Florida. It's been raining a lot. Maybe you heard about it on the news. And I went outside in my flat-ass sandals today, and it right into the mud. I should apparently get a pair of these.
You could. Maybe you could bring it back. I don't think it'd work out, man.
I don't think it would either. I'm also not a graceful person. So
it may take some grace.
Next email comes to us from Disciple, who writes, "This is going to be my Heroes Sports Talk Radio hot take. The meta doesn't matter." All right. Kicking things off with a strong sentiment, Disciple. Disciple writes, "Watching Kyle's pursuit to Master League and combining that with my own experience, always keeping up with meta heroes is an inefficient use of time since they change so regularly. A more proper way to be a good teammate would be to focus on 10 to 12 heroes of various roles with which one is, if comfortable, and stick with those heroes. I would much rather have a player be really good with an unpopular hero on my team than someone who is mediocre with a meta pick. I do think draft order and map picks are important, and having a stable of 10 to 12 heroes should cover those needs. Also, pre-tilting players should not be a worry. If a teammate is going to get upset during the draft, chances are they would have gotten upset at something else later on in the game anyway. Be a good teammate, practice what is comfortable, and enjoy the match. Great show. Keep up the good work." I can't say I disagree with a lot of his points here.
No, it's exactly what we've discovered when we, not only when I wasn't able to achieve Masters last season, and I was trying my darndest on these Kerrigans, on these Falstads, guess what? I'm not a very good Kerrigan, and that's okay, particularly right now, thank goodness. I don't need that first pick for myself. But just play the heroes you're best at is absolutely, I think, the way to go, and that's why I've been on Leoric so much. I understand his nuances. Plus, if the enemy team gets a root with Malfurion, and I can ghost out of it, unlike, Anubarak and Diablo and all these other characters that are just going to stand there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've always, this is pretty much how I've always approached heroes. Obviously, I have definitely made a decision on who was going to be the top of my list because of certain current meta situations. Like, that's the whole reason I picked up Kael'thas in the first place, and the only reason I have any clue how to play him now. Same thing goes for Li Ming, same thing goes for Thrall, same thing goes for Morales, and so on and so forth. Many of the heroes that I am now competent with, that are at the top of my stable, at some point were one of the big top picks. Probably the outlier being Raynor, even though I would argue he's one of the best solo heroes you could have. Like, if you're going to solo queue, if you're going to play in a pickup game, if you're just trying to do the most you can with a safe pick, I think it's Raynor.
Yeah. The pre-tilting hero or players thing is absolutely true, too. They're they're angry people. They're waiting for something. I very often get are you sure about Leoric solo? Yes, and I apologize for whatever the previous person did to you that made you feel that way.
Yeah. I mean, and we're talking in broad strokes, right? You should say forget those people and also don't get pre-tilted yourself. Obviously, there are outliers. There are certain scenarios we all will find ourselves in where it will probably pre-tilt us. First pick Monk for Kyle, for example. And honestly, I'm right there with him, especially after playing that game. But, I mean, for the most part, yeah, you should just... This all boils down to play your best. What are you good at?
Yeah.
Play it, and play it well. So, cool. And then Jan wrote in and basically asked if we were doing a meetup for BlizzCon, which we are. We don't have hard details yet. We always meet at the bowling alley the night before, so the Thursday before the first day of BlizzCon. We always meet at the bowling alley at the Anaheim Garden Walk Mall. I believe now it is a Bowlmore Lane. It's changed ownership a couple times, but it's still there. And we usually meet there the night before, usually around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something like that. I am on a Hearthstone panel at the World of Podcasts over at the Hilton before then, but I'll be done in time I'll be able to get over there by 8, I think. So there will be official times and dates and locations and Google Map links and all of that good stuff on amove.tv when we actually sit down and hammer all of this out. But chances are we're going bowling again. And by going bowling, I mean we're going to just hang out in their really nice bar and never touch a ball.
Pretty much. I mean, you can bowl if you really want to. No one's stopping you, but it is a pretty nicely sized bar, and we all just sort of crowd in there and have a good time. I'll actually be at the Con Before the Storm as well, and we'll be back to back. You'll be doing the Hearthstone, I believe, before me, and then I'll be going on the Heroes panel there.
Yeah, pretty exciting, man. What are you doing on the panel? You moderating, or are you just one of the dudes?
No, Scott's doing the moderating. I will be one of the dudes.
Oh, Scott's moderating. Oh
yeah.
My God. Why? Oh, I have to moderate first before Scott. I don't want to open for Scott's moderation. That's terrifying.
It's a crazy world, man. Yeah, how many years did I listen to Scott Johnson say he would never touch a MOBA?
Well,
I love it.
This is not a dig, because as a fellow Blizzard fanboy, Scott is a huge Blizzard fanboy.
That is
all
true.
it took was Blizzard making the MOBA.
I think in general we've crafted out a pretty good community for Heroes of the Storm. There's still all the outliers that you're going to expect in any game people take seriously, but it's a fantastic community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The fact that just the feedback we get on this show, we get an outpouring of positive feedback compared to negative. And when we came to this from StarCraft, we were kind of expecting to get beaten down a lot more.
Yes.
Because any game like this, any game that is competitive, you tend to get some rough feedback if your roundtable of hosts on said talk show are not just a bunch of pro players. But that's never been our goal. We definitely bring on guests from time to time, but I think it's really, I think it says a lot that there is, there's an audience for a more everyman, a more general audience show.
Well, that's always been my goal here. There's so many tidbits. There's so many sound bites that you can listen to. So many tier lists that you can subscribe by and live your life to the fullest with. They're simply not useful statements most of the time. And half of the information that may be top level just isn't useful in an actual executed real-time strategy game. Yeah. But StarCraft was a different beast. I mean, StarCraft is a 1v1 game. If you can't throw down, you simply can't throw down.
No.
And there's no what ifs. There's no I'm being kept down. There's probably an MMR hell, I'm sure, for them. But it all falls down to you and your abilities.
I'm not sure it works like that. Oh, my opponent's so bad. Why am I playing? So you just move out of it quickly. Is your argument like, oh no, this random Grandmaster player is stuck in gold with me and I just can't win?
Right, like he's too busy smurfing down here, or they're purposefully tanking their accounts, which is something that's happening apparently in Heroes right now, and that's a bit of an epidemic, is tanking smurfs. Not actually like playing warriors, throwing games on purpose to lower their rating and get down to some level when they can then achieve something or feel great. The problem with that whole strategy is this is a team game like I've never seen before. If you want to go down to bronze and carry yourself back out, oh my goodness, good luck with that.
Yeah, have fun.
You can only do so much.
I think they're just punishing themselves.
But we talk about StarCraft a little bit. It is a rather exciting time for that game. I got to watch all of Neeb's games.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. All right. So guys, we've covered the news. We've taken your emails. How many of you are old school fans? Because we're about to do a mini Starcast.
Yeah, bring it on.
All right. Dude, an American just won a premier South Korean tournament for the first time in StarCraft 2 history, and the first time in all of StarCraft history in the last 16 years.
And you know what? It wasn't cheese. And darn it, that final Zerg he had to fight was all cheese, man. And I was sad about that. I love me my Zerg. It did come down to a PvP, which I'm not exactly thrilled about, but he eked out every little level he could. I mean, that probe control where he kept one more probe than the enemy guy kept a probe. Like, that's what eked it out. And that's after watching Neeb, like, once again, that empowered my heroes. If you know a character well enough to know all the little nuances and interactions, that's one more probe for you in your camp.
Yeah. But his final games in the PvP was Kyle, how many years did we talk about StarCraft?
5.5.
What's my least favorite matchup in the game to watch?
PvP?
Yeah. PvP. I have historically just been like, it's Protoss versus Protoss. I'll watch the next set. This was some of the best StarCraft I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. The disruptor on disruptor, who can land a purification nova, who can get out of it. I was just sitting there just screaming at my television. It was amazing.
It went to the late game. It was a 100% win, and that's what made it so cool and noteworthy, and why got as much attention as it did.
Yeah. Chat room's asking if you can watch it. Yeah, if you search for Neeb, I'm blanking. Who did he beat? It was Trap. So if you search for Kespa Cup, Neeb versus Trap, it's pretty easy to find those VODs in English on YouTube. So if you haven't seen them, even though it's been all over the news and the outcome of the game has been spoiled for you, just go watch it. It is esports history.
It's worth checking out just to see the level. And we can be impressed by some dude's single unit control, maybe even his Lost Vikings control. But it's cinematic. These guys going at it, the level of things going on in the background. It looks like some sort of campaign movie. Before you take control, like it does the flyover of your base and everything's looking real cool, and then you get control of it and all just falls apart.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So everyone, if you've ever been even remotely curious at all about StarCraft, you owe it to yourself. Go watch Neeb versus Trap. So,
and the reason he became so good is something that a lot of esports players end up doing. He camped out for, if I read correctly, I believe it was 10 months or more in Korea, being in their environment where they have not only the financial support for someone to do something like that, but the local games, and they all train so hard. And in fact, right after this, it was announced that several teams who are going to be going to BlizzCon for Heroes are going to go do a camp in Korea as well.
Oh, that's really exciting to hear. I'm glad we're getting more South Korean influence into the esports. I'm glad it's back in the spotlight. I'm glad we're actually talking about it again. Because the level of play just rises the more we study what's going on in the South Korean esports scene.
Well, and it's funny how localized our metas can become, and when we get to see those international events, sometimes they just get completely trashed because they just can't deal with Arthas.
Well, that's
nobody plays Arthas.
Yeah, well, yeah. To bring it back to Heroes, that's the thing I'm the most excited about. I think more than anything else for the official Heroes League next year is that we will be getting cross-regional. We'll be seeing teams from multiple regions actually meet multiple times before BlizzCon.
Yeah, and the Nexus games have helped out with that too. It's been nice to see these teams battle it out a little bit right after the patch comes out, so we all get a little bit of flavor. We got to see an awesome Alarak from Equinox. In fact, you can check out one of the replay review shows I did on YouTube this week of what Alarak is capable of, and very surprising, he seems to be anti-tank. And if you think about it, Muradin's coming at you, and you apply a silence right into Muradin's face before he can reduce your attack speed, leap away. Going to sit and duck.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's easy to hit someone who's already up on you.
And if you're going to be at BlizzCon yourself, usually the first day there's a lot of palling around. We're all pretty busy. There's lots of announcements being pulled, this panel, that panel. But I can tell you for sure that day 2, I am camped out at that esports stage until it ends. And also, last year, and actually most years before, the esports run a little long, and as everything else starts shutting down, come camp out with us on that first day, because it'll go till midnight sometimes. But those are the tryhards. That crowd is screaming.
Yeah.
They're the real diehard fans.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's right around the corner. Again, we'll have more details on a meetup very soon. Just keep your eyes on amove.tv because we always make a big post with all of the details for the amove meetup for Thursday night before BlizzCon. So hope to meet a lot of you. I think that's going to do it for this episode, Kyle. A, this episode of Into the Nexus, and B, the final episode of Starcast.
That never happened.
The final episode of Starcast never happened. We'd like to thank everyone who supported Starcast this long. I'd like to thank DJ Wheat for guessing that one time and recommending Saga, the comic, which is now my favorite thing I've ever read. Who else can I thank? I'd like to thank Suppy for trolling us that one time when we had him on.
Hey, it was real cool. TwitchCon really exploded and became its own thing this year. And it's funny to see how many of the old Starcraft pioneers in streaming became the heart of TwitchCon.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, good God. DJ Wheat is all up in that mess.
Yeah.
Awesome, crazy, successful mess. I mean that with, like, as much positivity as I can muster behind the word, using it casually. So anyway, thanks again, everyone. Thanks again to our patrons over at patreon.com/ITN. Huge thanks to those of you who drop in us 5-star reviews in the iTunes store. We've got 3 new ones. Thank you to T. Matt Rob. Thank you to Turnblum79. And thank you to D. Sodin Photo. I don't know, man. I need another vowel before that S or something. I don't know what's going on in there. Into the Nexus, as always, is produced by amove.tv and our Patreon producers, Declan H. and Cheesy Bob. We thank them a lot for the support of the show. You can get our swag. We've got coffee mugs, pint glasses, wine glasses with the Into the Nexus logo custom etched into them over at etched.amove.tv. We've got t-shirts at shirts.amove.tv. And as always, catch us live every Thursday night on twitch.tv/amovetv at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch us on alphageekradio.com if you're on the move and you want to tune in live. Follow us on Twitter at ITNcast. And a big thanks to Gorath and Brian Griffith for our intro and outro music. Kyle, where can folks find you?
You can find me many places, but this weekend, Saturday, noon, I believe, may change, but noon Pacific, I'll be joined once again by Gorath on the stream for some Hero League action. But I really want to point people this week towards our A-Move runs of World of Warcraft. We've been doing instances, and we're coming up on our first raid here. Check those out over at youtube.com/AMoveTV.
It was really fun. Also, we need healers for our raid. So if you're Horde side and you fancy yourself a boss healer, because otherwise I'm going to be like, what are you doing? Where's my heals? Because I'm the tank. I'll be yelling at you. Let me know. Tweet at us. We're looking for a healer. You can find me on the internet in multiple places, mostly just amove.tv. But you can find me on Twitter at GarrettArt. And honestly, I'll also throw my pimp in. Go to youtube.com/amovetv right now and watch Amove Does WoW with our 5-man dungeon runs, because they're a riot. I have so much fun doing that. Huge thanks to Kyle's wife, Kristen, a.k.a. Dream Destroyer, for putting that together. It's some of the most fun I've had this year. It's a good time. So, also, we aren't running ads at the top of the show anymore, but we do have codes for you. You can use the code ITN over at doghousesystems.com when you check out with your brand new spanking super fast awesome gaming rig to get a free solid-state drive added onto the rig in addition to the regular drive that comes with the system. You can also go to tweakedaudio.com to look at a selection of headphones and earbuds and use the code ITN to get you 30% off and free shipping. That'll be off of your entire order, and the code never expires. You can use it as many times as you want. Check them out. We thank them for their support. We thank you all for listening. And until next time, good luck, have fun, and watch out for mirror image Blademasters with crazy sandals.
Tasty my blade.
That's the show.
That's the show. Patrons, to your patron chats.
To your patron chats.
By the way, next week we will be playing Brawl in the after show, so you should get your PTR installed for next week. It is not up right now.
I have it installed. Or are you talking to the chat room?
I'm talking to the chat.
Oh, okay. I'm like, I have it installed. Of course I have it. I've never uninstalled it. Except I've reinstalled 10 multiple times.
Look at Mr. Fancy. I've got hard drive space over here who leaves his PTRs installed.
I'm actually very rapidly running out of space. I need to pick up another hard drive.
I just bought a terabyte, man, and it's gone.
Yep. Hey, video content, right?
Yep, 1080p video content.
Yep. All right, I'm going to swap over the audio. One sec.
Cool, see you in a moment.
Bear with us, chat room.